Hi, it's the Creative Gardener here. I've got a few things that I'm going to do today. One of them is put some stuff in the compost, and so I'm going to bring you along for the ride. Come and join me. Okay, so I thought it would be a good idea to start with what you're putting in your soil first. Or what you're putting in the ground and improving the soil. Recycling, saving the waste, and making your own compost. So I brought this bin about a year ago, and since then I have had a set of compost that I've used, and it's a very easy, from what I can see now, a structure to make, and you can check out some YouTube videos if you want to make your own. But I brought this, I was just like, I need to make some compost. And I felt really bad about throwing out the kitchen waste and, not putting it back into the soil. I'm a big fan of recycling and upcycling, and so this was definitely a good buy for me because, I wanted something that wasn't going to smell, wasn't going to be in the way or, an eyesore. As opposed to, having a corner with, and I know you can, use pallets and things like that, but this one I'm kind of putting out of commission and clearing this area. This area is going to be clear and wood chipped. Anyway, so I thought I'd show you inside. So this is just, it's a plastic drum with holes bored in it. And sorry, I just thought the chicken's gone and run off. Chick. Anyway, so it's got holes bored in, but what you do basically is cut up the scraps. You lift up the flap, and I'm standing this way, see them flies flying out. And there is some tissue in there, and because I had collected some of the chicken poop, so it's kind of breaking down in there. So this is the second lot. So I had to kind of stop putting stuff in here because at one point it was too wet and very slimy, so I had to put some more dry material. So I even put things like shredded paper, documents that I'd shredded and put in there. So you just put it in, pop it in, you close it back, you put in your brown and your green material, and then you turn it. The one thing about this that I would say is the negative is that this is very heavy. So all I can really do at times is do it halfway, and try and from the momentum. But as you can see under there, where it had so much liquid in, it was just kind of draining out. But you turn it and then it breaks down and then you get your compost. So I've had to stop putting things in here because I want it all to break down so that I can use that, because it's going to be so rich. And then the other thing that I found was that I had where the seeds had gone into my wind chime where seeds had gone into the compost bin, when I had taken out the first lot of compost and planted it, I'd put some in a pot, and I had just left it in the pot, and the seeds started to grow. So it hadn't broken it down totally, but it does break it down quite well. And I didn't mind the seeds because they were squash and watermelon, so I was able to plant them out. What I've done since then is to create another compost pile. So because of the amount of space that I have, having enough compost is is going to be is important. And so I started this at the end, and all I do is just throw the scraps down. I had kind of put some stakes in there just to kind of keep it, but this within a week, a lot of this, it just keeps breaking down. So I don't turn it or anything. I've just been adding, but I know that once I dig out the bottom, all of that should be broken down. And I've got another pile. It's just in its infancy. I just literally here started to put the cuttings that I'd taken as I kind of go round and cut back plants. The ones that are weeds I'll put on the pile, so whichever pile I'm nearest, I'll put it. And I've got 2 more piles I'll show you. But this is, I mean, it's in terms of it being an eyesore, it's not, because this is a work in progress. This whole space is a work in progress. So until I can, you know, put everything where I want it to be, this, having it break down and be able to utilize for some of these beds is ideal. So here's another little pile I started. So this was probably the 3rd one that I started, and because we're on a slope, I changed my mind. But when I was checking it the other day, I was moving away some of the soil, some of this bit here, and it's really rich. So this is quite a good spot. So I thought I would keep this, but just move it back a bit, and I will enclose it as and when I get the tools and the materials. But for now, again, it's, you know, if I'm like, just today, I was just getting rid of some of this and cutting it back. And so I just put whatever's weeds. So like this material, this weed is very invasive. So I've been pulling it up from there, because along here I want to create a dry riverbed. So I just need it as clear as possible. So I've just pulled up this, and I add this particular grass over there so that it can just die down and then in time be reused. And I'll show you my final one. Okay, so here's the final one. Again, it's here so that it can be utilized for this bed here at the end. Yeah, so I don't have to be going all the way, but you know, that one over there is for this bed, and the one over there is for the nearest bed, and then the one by the tree is for, you know, whatever I want to do in terms of planting and potting up. So yeah, this is, I had decided to put this here, and again, it was like an experimental patch. There was I planted about 5 or 6 watermelon squash plants that have all been eaten by the snails and slugs, but again, that doesn't matter because it keeps them away from where I am growing the fruit that I really want to keep. Anyway, so whenever I cut any of this, all of that needs to be cut back. It goes there. So and then I'll just show you finally. So when we cut the grass, so I've been raking it all up, and the last time we cut it, we had long grass growing here. So I put it all here because in this particular section I want to grow some trees. So I put it all here, and it's kept the grass down, which is good because it was growing so big. It was growing really tall. It's this long elephant grass that kind of, again, is another invasive one. So yeah, I put it down and it's kept the grass down. So I'm gonna start growing some trees here. So yeah, that's, it's vital to improve the soil and make sure you have rich nutrients going into the soil. I'm keen on chop and drop, so even the weeds, you kind of look and see where they're growing, look and see where things are growing really well, and then like I know that a lot of the topsoil from this land, as we were clearing it, went to create the mounds, and that's why we've got some really like healthy looking grass growing here. But I want to have a hedge going all the way around of the orange blossom, so that's something that I'm going to be planting up, and you'll see the journey. But for the compost, as I said, you make sure you have you're putting back into the soil, nurturing the soil, and you're using or utilizing it as nature would. In the forest, things break off, drop down where it is, break down, and the trees and whatever's growing there is nourished from that kind of cycle of things. And so that's how I'm trying to kind of plan the garden, so that everything that I chop from it, I'm not adding things that is not native to this, this particular, growing here, and that things will grow really well because it's being fed. So that's composting. A friend gave me some compost, but I've been utilising, because his had broken down, so I've been utilising on things like mango. So behind that barrier is a mango plant, but that's for another video. I'll show you all my mango trees that are growing so far. Alright, so thanks for joining me, and look forward to seeing you again.